Mark asked me quite some time ago to come along and speak with you all about hosting the World's Fair. And I'm delighted to be here to do that. And let me first of all tell you 3 reasons why I love Minnesota. First is, it's my 3rd time here, and it's a beautiful state. I always thought 1,000 lakes, but I was corrected 10,000 lakes. And I love nature, I love the outdoors, and this is a beautiful place. Second reason is, socially it's pretty progressive. I mean, I attended the wedding of Steve Americaus last September, which was only possible because you changed the law a few weeks prior. So that's another great reason why I love Minnesota. And the third reason I love Minnesota is because of the people. And I don't mean that glibly. Whilst I arrived here last night on American Airlines, never fly American Airlines, my baggage didn't. And so this morning, I was up at 7 and I had a personal guided tour of the men's warehouse just off the Nicollet Mall. And I'm delighted to introduce you to the ladies from Minnesota fashion. And I have to tell you that April in the men's warehouse deserves a medal. I felt like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. I really did. I walked in there, I said, look, my luggage isn't here. I'm presenting to some very important folks in about an hour and a half's time. I have nothing to wear. I had jeans, t-shirt, hadn't shaved, nothing. So it was a brilliant turnaround, and thank you very much to the staff of the men's warehouse of the Nicollet Mall. Anyway, here we are. We have probably about 40 minutes or so to talk, and I'd really like to have Q&A with you because I think that's the most useful thing to do. But I'll whiz through a bit of stuff which I learnt, the highs, the lows, the bumps, the failures, the successes of doing the Olympics for 5.5 years in London. And then delighted to have a conversation with you. But this is your time, so please, if you want to interrupt, heckle, whatever, just go for it as we go. But I'll try and convey something vaguely useful, if I possibly can, in the next 40 minutes. It sounds like I've already been introduced, so thank you for that. If there's anything that you didn't know or weren't sure about, feel free to ask. But I had 5.5 amazing years, which felt like 15 in a way, putting on the London Olympics and Paralympics. And I was here in 2012 to do a keynote at the conference, here last year to do some workshops, and here again this year to do a couple too. Putting on the Olympics is quite an interesting fact. And so that's, for example, when you arrive here and you realise that the room you're talking to has already been sat down for an hour, you're not fazed because you realise that these things happen. But my boss summed it up in 7 stages, putting the Olympics, which I still remember vividly today, and how I think of when I think about future events we're planning, such as you might be doing with the World's Fair. And this is not meant to sound cynical, it's just meant to sound realistic. But the 7 stages of putting on the Games were in a very specific order, and they went something like this. Stage 1 was jubilation, when we won, because we weren't supposed to. Paris was supposed to win, and London wasn't supposed to, and it got the Games, and we're like, wow, so that was number 1. Stage 2 was then shock. Did we really win? And then we looked at the host city contract, and we thought, well, there's no way we can possibly deliver what we've just contractually agreed to do. Quite typical. Stage 3 then, of course, is despair. Absolute, unfettered despair. When you realise there is absolutely no way we can make the budget balance, the range of stakeholders and interests is just mind-boggling, we despair. Stage 4 then is quite logical. It's the search for the guilty. Who the hell got us into this mess? Followed by stage 5, which is, of course, the persecution of the innocent. Something that unfortunately happens all too often. Stage 6 then is jubilation again, when it all goes really, really well, as I think it did 2 summers ago in London. And then stage 7 is my personal favourite, and one which I hope you can empathise with if you've ever worked in corporate life, which is, of course, the glorification of the uninvolved. So, folks, that's my motivational speech for you guys to do the World's Fair, and you go for it. I think it's particularly relevant. I heard some commentary just now about Sochi, but I think it's really relevant because if Sochi teaches us anything, it teaches us that inclusion does not just happen. My goodness, you really have to make it happen. And I think, personally speaking, one of the real tragedies of Sochi is that they spent $50 billion, and I'm really not